Today I'm here to talk to you about a very important subject, the state of the Union. Is the United States entering a new era of prosperity, or are its greatest days already behind us? Instead of trying to tackle this question head-on, I'm going to look at a very specific subject and see if we can use the lessons learned from that to draw a more general conclusion. That's why today I'm going to discuss U.S.-Chad relations. Just a bit of background, Chad is a country in northern Africa with about 10 million people who gained independence from France in 1960, and that's when the United States began formal diplomatic relations with Chad. But the U.S. didn't pursue strong ties until about 1990, when Idriss Déby took power in a coup from Hissène Habré, and Déby is still the president of Chad today. So the period from about 1990 to today is what I'm going to be focusing on. Now, a closer inspection of U.S. policy toward Chad in this time period will show that it has completely failed in all three of its major goals. That is, providing military aid to ensure stability, establishing democratic ideals, and giving economic support to improve the standard of living. So first, I'll talk about the political situation. Chad is divided between a Muslim north and a Christian south, and historically these groups have obviously not been very friendly towards one another. And Chad also has very strong tensions with its neighbors, namely Libya to the north, and especially Sudan to the east. So clearly there's a very volatile situation. Now, what has the United States government done to try to ensure stability? Well, it's simply given weapons to the Déby regime. Clearly this is not a good solution. It just increases the hostilities between the opposing sides and gives the Déby government more tools to suppress its opponents instead of trying to promote a long-term peaceful solution with cooperation from all sides. And indeed, this misguided policy has not worked. In 2003, the Darfur conflict spread into Chad, causing a 5-year-long civil war in which thousands of people were killed, both soldiers and civilians. Now, what about the United States' second main goal of establishing democratic ideals? We'll look at a few key statistics will show that it hasn't done so well there either. According to Freedom House, on a scale from 1 to 7, with 7 being the worst, Chad ranks as a 7 in political rights and a 6 in civil liberties. And according to Transparency International, Chad rates as a 1.8 out of 10 on its Corruption Perceptions Index. Now, according to the U.S. State Department, one of the main things the U.S. government has done to try to establish democratic ideals is professionalize the Chad military. And this seems to make sense, at least if they have a professional military that will help them go about establishing a more democratic government. Well, however, this same Chadian military regularly conducts extrajudicial killings, torture and rape of civilians, arrests based on ethnicity instead of any crimes, and runs extremely harsh prisons, one of the harshest in the world. And as just one example of its brutality, during the Battle of Omdam in the Chadian Civil War, it sexually assaulted 2 sisters and leveled a house that they knew contained civilians, and this ended up killing a 55-year-old father of 8. So I think we can pretty easily say that the United States has not succeeded in establishing democratic ideals in Chad. Well, what about the United States' final goal of providing economic aid to improve the standard of living? One of the main ways it has done this is by investing in the Chad-Cameroon Petroleum Pipeline Project. And the money from this is supposed to go to the Chadian government to support health, education, and infrastructure projects. And this sounds really good, but where's the money actually going? Well, of course, a lot of it is going to the big oil companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron. But even the money that is going to the Chadian government is being used to buy weapons instead of helping the Chadian people. So Ron Paul might have summarized this situation best when he said foreign aid is taking money from poor people in rich countries and giving it to rich people in poor countries. Just think about it. Every dollar that is spent by the U.S. government buying guns for Déby's regime could be used to help the millions of Americans right here who cannot find a job and cannot provide for their families. And what about the Chadian people? How have they fared through all of this? Well, the population of over 10 million, has access to just 4 hospitals in the entire country, 1 movie theater. And according to the World Economic Forum, Chad ranks as 148 out of 148 on the Network Readiness Index. And this is after decades of supposed infrastructure spending. So clearly we can see that the money being pumped there is not helping the Chadian people. So today I've used Chad as an example, but the same problem exists everywhere in the United States foreign policy. It's simply ineffective at reaching its goals. It's an example of the uncontrolled spending that hurts US citizens, and the only people it helps are the rich people around the world get even richer. Now I believe this is a more fundamental problem than simply foreign policy. It shows that the government has drifted from the needs of the people, and today more than ever, the ordinary citizen does not have enough say in what the government is doing and the policies it pursues. And unless this problem is rectified quickly, we can indeed say that the sun is setting on the United States.